This is the stage of the game where we start to pull it all together. Now we're going to write a chord progression in the key of C, and we're going to look at how we would place a pentatonic scale shape in that key, and then look at how we would target notes and be able to use that scale in the key of C. But the first thing we want to talk about is how to write that chord progression. Technically, any of the chords that belong in the key of C could be used to write this chord progression. But since using the 1 would be totally obvious, I want to start this chord progression with the 6 of the key. So the 6 in the key of C is A minor. So we're going to write a chord progression that goes like this: A minor, then F, then G, then F. And we're going to talk about what notes belong to those chords, and then I'm going to give you in the next lecture some ideas about how you could target them and create some licks to be able to play over top of this chord progression. We're going to use E-shaped bar chords to create this chord progression. We're going to play an A minor, an F, a G, and then an F. Each one of these chords is going to last for 4 counts, for 1 bar. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there we have it. A minor, F, G, F. Each one of those chords lasts 4 counts, and we're playing an 8th note groove. That just means that each beat gets 2 hits. Very common in rock and roll. The chord shape that we're going to use is the G-shape pentatonic scale. And we're going to start to learn to look closer at that scale to be able to tell what notes are going on inside of that scale so that we can target them over top of this chord progression. So if we place this shape in position for the key, we'll have our G bar chord shape with a C root note. So our our root note is at the 8th fret on the low E string. And you'll remember this scale shape from earlier lessons. Now when we look at this shape, we have not just a big shape. We don't want to just grab a spot on the neck and start to solo. We want to solo with some targets in mind. So that A minor chord has the chord tones of A, C, and E. So when we look at this shape, the way I like to do it to go about learning the notes is to target the 1 over each chord as the chord progression goes by. And once I get familiar with that, then I'll target whatever the 3 happens to be, and then the next time around I'll target the 5. But for now we're going to look at where are all the A's in this G shape. Well, we have one at the 5th fret on the low E string. We have another one on the 7th fret of the D string. And obviously we have another one on the high E string at the 5th fret. So as this chord progression goes on, I'll target A's over top of the A minor chord. Now the next chord's kind of a toughie. It's the F chord. And the reason I say that is because in the pentatonic scale, you don't get an F to deal with. However, the notes that belong to the F major chord are F, A, and C. So we could pick an F, an A, or a C. Let's pick C for this particular time around to target, just as a note to have when the F chord is playing. Then for the G chord, we have the notes G, B, and D. We can target the root on the G chord, so we would target the G. In the next lecture, I'm going to demonstrate how you can target each one of those notes using lower and upper neighbors to be able to make your lead playing at least a little bit interesting for the time being.